Right now, we're following more breaking news out of Grand Blanc Township in Michigan, where 4 people were killed Sunday in a church attack. Police are swarming a vehicle that just drove through a barricade. I want to go live right now to CNN's Lee Waldman. She's on the scene for us. What do you know, Lee? What is happening?
Wolf, just shortly after we spoke to you moments ago, we looked and we saw officers running from what appears to be the command center here, running towards the barricade that's in place there. And you can see that red vehicle that they're still inspecting. We can see it appears to be FBI agents there. We've seen state police who was there, and we heard officers talking. They said that the man drove through a barricade and there was a gun in the front seat of that car. Now, we have colleagues who are at a different angle. They got some video as well, and from their video, it appears that this is some kind of a long gun in the front seat of that vehicle. Now, officers, again, overhearing what they were talking about, they said that they have that man in custody. We believe he is in that police vehicle that's right besides that red vehicle there that you can see officers still focusing on there. Now, we did some brief research before talking to you, Wolf, and we know that Michigan does have an open carry law here. You still are required to have a background check in order to purchase a weapon. To have concealed carry, you have to have a specialized license for that. But we do know at this point that this vehicle attempted to drive through the barricade where officers stopped the man inside and they noticed that gun. I also want to show you, Wolf, how close we are, if we can, to the church itself. We're just down the street from where this attack happened at this church Sunday morning. So obviously this is a heightened security situation. The street is filled with different law enforcement vehicles, and this red vehicle here with a driver inside attempted to make their way down this street here. Obviously not a lot more information we can bring you, Wolf. We know that man is in custody. We're going to press police for answers. We know there's a press conference happening in a little less than an hour from now, hoping to get some answers, clarity on that as well.
Do we know when that red vehicle went through that barricade if anyone was injured in the process?
At this point, Wolf, no, we're not hearing any injuries. We didn't see EMS rushing to the scene here. What we saw was a group of officers, some running from down the street, others running from what appears to be this command center here. You can see large tractor trailers in place, officers going in and out of that building there, using it as a station point here to conduct their investigation. We just saw those officers running down the street, so we started to run too, trying to get the latest information to bring to all of you. The situation much calmer now than it was even just 10 minutes ago.
All right, Lee Waldman, thank you very much for that update. Stay safe over there. We'll be in close touch with you. I want to get some perspective right now, some law enforcement perspective from Jason Armstrong, I should say. He's a former police chief of Ferguson, Missouri. He understands what's going on. Thanks very much for joining us. What do you make of this driver that officers just took into custody at the police barricade with some sort of weapon in the front seat?
Whenever we have a critical incident like what we experienced yesterday, one of our biggest fears in law enforcement is that somebody is going to be inspired to copycat or do something that is similar to get a similar response and reaction from the community. And so when I hear about this vehicle coming through the barricade, 2 things come to mind. One, was it a barricade where all traffic was stopped from entering that area, or was it a controlled access point where they were allowing some individuals to come in that may live in the area or have a valid reason for needing to enter that area? And so if it was somebody who was just trying to drive around a barricade that no vehicles were supposed to be allowed in, that sends the signal that this could be somebody that is looking to copycat and to do another incident like what we saw yesterday. It also could be somebody who was in that area for a valid reason, but because law enforcement is going to be on such high alert, worried about a similar incident or a copycat, that if they saw that weapon inside the vehicle, that's going to trigger a very heavy response from law enforcement in that area.
I know, Jason, you're not involved in this investigation, but what will federal and local authorities, for that matter, be focusing in on?
Anytime we see one of these catastrophes happen in our communities, the number one thing that we're trying to find out, and we know that the community wants these same answers, is why did this happen? And what did we know, if anything, before it happened that could have helped us or helped somebody prevent this from happening. And that's going to be the number one thing that they're going to try to find out. I know we haven't heard a real motive up to this point. They're going to be looking to see what the motive is and looking to see were there any points along the trajectory of this individual getting to what he carried out yesterday that we could have interceded and potentially prevented this from happening, because every community is on edge these days that they're going to be the next one. And as law enforcement, we're going to be doing everything in our power to prevent it.
Certainly true. Earlier, just a little while ago, the White House actually called the deadly attack on this church in Michigan an act of evil, and also said this about the gunman. Listen.
From what I understand, based on my conversations with the FBI director, all they know right now is this was an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith. And they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, whether he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered, but certainly will be answered by the FBI.
When you hear that, Jason, what are some of the other questions you have right now that you would like to have answered?
What contributed to this individual's hatred towards the Mormon faith? And what can we learn from this situation where we see, people take to social media and just some of the rhetoric that we see going on in the country right now, where we're living in a time where divisiveness seems to be people's automatic default, and the things that they're talking about, to see what we can do to strategize better as law enforcement, how we can help educate the public and the community of ways that they can help us try to combat some of these ills that we're seeing, because we know, the weapons are out in distribution. And so the weapons are out on the streets. If somebody wants to do something like this, typically they're going to have access and the means to be able to get their hands on a weapon to carry it out. And so it has to be a collective response, law enforcement and people in the community looking for ways that we can combat this.
And I want to remind our viewers of some of the most heinous attacks on this nation's houses of worship in recent years. Not long ago, churches, synagogues, mosques were recognized for being sacred and rarely targeted. But that has clearly changed. Look at the screen. You see what happened at the Church of the Annunciation in Minneapolis recently. 2 children killed, several others injured. And you go back in October of 2018, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, 11 Jews fatally shot by a white supremacist as these Jews were praying on a Saturday morning. And there have been other incidents along those lines. What does all that say to you?
That we're in a terrible place in society where people feel as though this is what they need to do or what they should do to get the attention that they're trying to get, to send the message that they want to send, or and stoke the fear in communities that they want to stoke. And we have to do just really some self-reflection as where we are as a nation, when we see that our most sacred places now are becoming, these locations that people have to go in fear, where they should be going there just to be in peace.
Do churches, synagogues, and mosques across the country now, Jason, need to beef up security?
Absolutely, they do. I just got a call recently this week from a church that wants me to come in. They want to talk about their security measures. And that was before this incident happened, just coming on the heels of some of the other incidents that we've seen, like what we saw in Minneapolis a short time ago. And so that's one of the things that we're encouraging, all of these houses of faith that we now see are a target for individuals who want to carry out this type of activity. They all need to be on alert, and they all need to be implementing safety plans to make sure that they're doing everything in their power to protect the people that are coming there.
Yeah, it's awful to think about what's happening in our country right now. All right, Jason Armstrong, thank you very much for your expertise